Good morning, folks. It's Wild Will coming to you from the barn over here at Ranger, Texas. Riding some horses this morning, and I got this old sorrel horse that I want you to look at his tail just at a glance. If I can show that tail, it looks all right. In fact, I've even brushed over it with while I'm saddling him, just regular old brush, not noticed it. But today I happened to grab it and really look at it, and I want you to look at this witch's knot, we call them, in this rascal's tail. I mean, it's a doozy. I mean, it's gonna take a man a minute to get that sucker combed out of there. Their tail it has no bone in it right here that's not supposed to be able to stand upside down like that. As I started brushing on this tail, trying to get that out, I couldn't help but think of sin and in my own life even and things. And Proverbs 28 verse 13 says, "He who conceals his transgressions will not prosper, but he who confesses them and forsakes them will find compassion." It is very important that we confess sin. We're horrible. All of us are horrible about wanting to keep a sin that we've committed, a one-time deal or a habitual sin of any kind. Keep that in the darkness. Keep that deep dark inside of us and not tell anybody, like nobody's ever going to find out. And I guess sometimes they don't. I've known people to live their whole life, and then years later after they've dead, we find out about some kind of habit they've had. And the thing is, none of it gets by the Lord, and we got to remember that. It says on the day of judgment that every idle word and every idle deed done, we will have to give account for it. And I don't look forward to that. I mention that quite a bit when I speak or preach, and it's just it's gonna be a tight spot for all of us. But much like that witch's knot in that horse's tail, I've brushed over his tail just in a hurry, brushing him, fixing to saddle him a dozen times. And them witches knots that big and that thick doesn't happen in a hurry. It probably happened just from a little old cuckabur. And as I didn't tend to it, I didn't brush that cuckabur and get it out of there. Didn't brush it out well enough when it started off as a small cuckabur. Maybe even a little old devil's claw down in there. I hate them cotton picking things about as bad as I do a cuckabur. And if I find one on my horse or saddle, cuckabur or devil's claw, I will not throw them down on anybody's place. I don't care if they're my enemy, which I ain't got too many of them. I make sure them things go somewhere in the trash can or in a burn pile or in a pipe post where they go down there and they can't ever bear no more seed. They can't ever grow again. And I even get on to my boys, my kids, about pulling a cuckabur out of a horse's tail and throwing it down. I just don't believe in that, because there again, you're throwing that seed down, and it's liable to, most likely gonna take root again and become another plant that bears a whole lot more cuckaburs, and getting them in my horses' tails and manes and everything else from then on. And so we've got to tend to sin the same way, folks. We've just got to do the same thing with sin in our life. Just like a cuckabur, the moment we see a cuckabur, the moment we see a sin, the moment we've committed a sin or slipped and fallen and tripped or caught ourselves involved in something that we know is not producing righteousness, then we've got to do our part in getting rid of that sucker, just like I do cuckabur seeds, and getting it gone. And the only way to get it gone is to confess it to the Lord, bring it to the light, get that out in the open, find somebody that you trust that ain't going to rat you out, they ain't going to snitch you off or tell everybody at the coffee shop what you're into, and confess it to them. You don't have to go tell everybody on Facebook, but confess it to somebody. There's some power in getting sin out of that darkness. And the moment you do so, it loses its power. Like me getting rid of them cucumber seeds and making sure they're in the trash. They're somewhere where they can't ever get any dirt, and bear any more fruit. And left unattended, they become a big old witch's knot, like in my horse's tail here. That I much rather. I wish I'd have took the time when it was just a small cucumber seed wrapped up in there. Took a few minutes to get it combed and brushed out of there. But no, I let it go, and now it's a big old witch's knot that's going to take me a lot of time to get it brushed out. And he's going to lose a lot of his tail hair on account of it, because I'm going to have to probably cut some of it out, and there ain't really no way around it. And so we got to treat sin the same way in our lives, folks. Get rid of it while it's small. When it's not a big deal, it's a whole lot easier. I hope it's been a blessing to you, folks. Remember that scripture, Proverbs 28, verse 13. He who conceals his transgressions will not prosper, but he who confesses them and forsakes them will find compassion. The Lord is very compassionate. Always is, always forgiving, always full of mercy and love. And he will always forgive us if we'll go to him and confess it to him and get that stuff out in the light. Hope it's been a blessing to you. Y'all have a great day.